Special Moves Podcast. This is episode 106. My name is Mike Williams. These guys are Jake Klukowski and Liam McKelvey. Hello.
Hi.
Yo.
There's been a lot of stuff going on the last few days. As you would expect, the reception to PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and Series S has been just generally really, really good, isn't it? I mean, there's been some weird shit, like, as you would expect. There was that clip of the people blowing fucking vape smoke into the Series X and whatever. But on the whole, it's been it's good to see that there's just broad kind of, excitement about both of the systems, I reckon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Especially, even the PC Master Race, I'm sure, are looking down from the ivory tower going, welcome to a world of over 30 frames per second.
Yeah.
A lot of the conversation I've been seeing has been like street level discussion. I haven't read many like articles or whatnot because I've been so busy this week playing fuck out of every game ever that I've just been seeing Twitter takes of people who are console heavy people that have gone, oh my god, this game runs so smooth. So it's good to see everyone kind of
I guess we can enjoy that for a year or two before the PC stuff just starts fucking pulling away again.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been reading I've been doing the opposite, I reckon. I've been reading a lot of like Digital Foundry and just the kind of, I love their like absolute, down the line analysis, tearing stuff down and kind of, really trying to get under the bonnet of stuff. And if you can't enjoy that in a console launch, when can you? So they've had loads of articles coming out and loads of videos and comparisons and stuff. And they're very excited about it, which makes me very excited about it.
Good.
And I've got I've got my kind of home cinema set up ready for this. Like I bought a LG OLED earlier this year, and more recently I got like a good soundbar, Dolby Atmos and stuff, even though Sony doesn't support Dolby Atmos on the PlayStation. But anyway, it's nice to have a bit of hardware to be excited for, because I haven't really had any. I think the last bit of proper hardware upgrading I did, as in terms of gaming, was a PS4 Pro, I suppose, which wasn't that big of a shift.
No, exactly. And it was about 3 years ago.
Yeah. And then I got a Switch, but that's not, it doesn't, that's just the completely
it's a downgrade, isn't it, in terms of resolution?
Yeah. It's a little gizmo, isn't it? A Switch.
Exactly. Yeah. So now it's nice to have a serious bit of kit, as everyone that works in there. Lots of shops would say. So I mean, I've had my my base PS4 the whole time. Yeah, I didn't have the Step Pro. Do you want to know what's something really interesting? My brother texted me today. He's like doing video game design and whatnot. So we've been talking about video game stuff and he texted me to say, what do you reckon of the PS5? And I was like, oh yeah, it looks great and this and that. And then he said, yeah, I'm thinking I'll just wait until there's that half-step version like the PS5 Pro before I get one. It's like, what? I always thought whenever I saw a Pro, I was like, who's waiting for that? Like, no one. People are getting the PS5 and then they go in, I want a bit more juice.
Yeah.
But he's like, nah, I'm going to wait. I'm like, what, is 8K not good enough for you, you fucking snob? Yeah. So if you're listening to this, Dan,
sort yourself out, man. I'm dealing in work. So I work in completely, I don't work in gaming or anything. And so there's a big crowd of people in work who by now know about the fact that I've got 2 days off next week to play the PS5. But there's a lot of like the people who do enjoy games and stuff. The general kind of vibe I'm getting is like, I'm just going to wait a little bit. I don't feel like I need it yet, and which I guess is kind of natural for a new console, because I probably would have thought that. Actually, no, I definitely did think that last gen. And I didn't get a PS4 for like, 6 months maybe.
Yeah.
Or even a year after that. I can't even remember what it was.
Yeah.
Probably about 6 months, say. So the fact that they're still kind of really massively selling out and both systems it's really hard to even get a PS5 or an Xbox at the moment. It kind of says a lot about where it's going to go. I mean, the amount of people who own consoles these days is insane, isn't it? Like the numbers of people who've got a Switch or an Xbox or a PlayStation is probably just.
I think you know what's like crazy to think of as well, which is like it's just how time works. But when you actually stop and think about it, it's pretty crazy. Is that like when the PS1 came out, or even the Xbox, the original Xbox?
Yeah,
they called it the Xbox One. Then big mistake. When that came out, the people who were in a position, maybe mid-20s, stable job to buy one, didn't grow up playing it. They might have been playing fucking Atari or whatever. And some people certainly did, but nowhere near the amount of people who spent their teenage years playing the 360, or their childhoods playing the Xbox, or if you're a bit older, the PS1, are now in a position where this is probably a lot of people's first time to buy it. Because even the PS4, was like 7 years ago. So a lot of people I'm basically 30. I'm 30 next year. Yeah, Mike is actually 30, and Liam is 21. So no, yeah. I tell everybody that you're 21. I don't know. I can't actually remember how old Liam is. He's 25.
You got it.
He's right here.
You got it.
He's right here.
25. Yeah, I know, but if I ask him, it's cheating, isn't it? The point is, that like even the PS4, we were all like really young. Maybe we had like a job in a, I don't know, bar or whatever. Not a paper round, but it's not a job where you've got that much money to just drop down. But now there's like the thing, and I think that's the same with everybody who grew up with gaming, who's still into it. Because if you've been maintaining that hobby since childhood, you're clearly quite into it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And the only thing that did surprise me, though, is that there wasn't much of a run-up, was there, to this? Because, like, us and everybody really was kind of over the summer, like, well, are they going to announce the prices?
Yeah.
When did they announce the prices again? It felt like it was only, like,
September.
August.
It was like the very end of September.
And here we are in November, and they're here. So that was a bit weird, because it doesn't give people who maybe don't have like that opportunity time to save.
Yeah,
because people will save with intent if they know a price a bit more, probably. But that's why I reckon so many people have bought it, or maybe COVID has stopped the huge amounts of shipping and stuff like that. But I don't know. I've been kind of itching as time ticks on to maybe pick up some of the accessories that I definitely don't fucking need for when the PlayStation 5's here, like the stupid fucking headphones that are about £9,000, and they're sold out everywhere. And the little charging port thing sold out as well.
I think I could see myself getting a second controller just because I like to cycle them. If it's just
keep one charging while you use the other one, and multiplayer as well.
Exactly. So I might do that. And I was thinking at first, like when they showed the lineup of the PS5 accessories, I was just like, I'll just buy all of that. I'll just get all of them things. But like the media remote, I'm never going to, I'm never using the media, the inbuilt media function of the TV that I've got now is so good that I just, I'd never need it. I'd never get a better experience out of media use on a PS5 than I could get just from the apps that are just built into my TV already.
Yeah.
Like, TV is obviously going to prefer and be better suited to use the apps that, Anyway, so I don't feel like I need that. I don't know if I've already got God knows how many pairs of headphones in my house, so I don't know if I need, the headset. Even though it's cool, I'd like the idea of it, but.
Well, that's the thing, like, doesn't the controller have a built-in microphone as well now? So you can literally just take the headphones off your head, plug them into the controller, and then you've got the all-in-one party chat solution there and then.
Voice data collection is on by default on the PS5. I don't know if you saw that.
Good to know. And
your mic is just always on by default. So that's funny. I saw that on Reddit. It was like, turn off this setting. But there's been... I haven't seen much of? Like this kind of console war bullshit. Comparisons have been very polite and nice. The only thing that I saw that made my head turn a bit is that there's like been a few games that have been adding 120 frames per second support for the Series X, but not the PS5. Rocket League, I think, did it. Call of Duty Warzone did it, which seems like a big omission from the PlayStation 5's roster of 120 FPS games.
They figured out how that because Warzone is still technically backwards compatible, or like it's running like it would on an Xbox One X, which already had 120 hertz built in to like the OS, whereas PlayStation doesn't. So it's just like they'd have to manually make a PS5 version or something. They can't just patch it into the backwards compatible version.
Right. Yeah.
Something like that.
The other thing that I think I've been thinking as well is that I remember when the PS4 launched, and even when I got it like 6 months later, it felt like barren. It just felt like there was, you had like Netflix on it, I guess, and maybe you didn't have like a load of media apps. You had, like 20 games on the PlayStation Store that were all PS4 games. And you didn't. I can't remember when they brought like Spotify that was just integrated into the system and things like that. It just evolves over time as well. So the actual features that you get on both systems, like right out of the gate this time, is fucking brilliant. Really, it's really good. Just what the Series X and what the PlayStation can give you on day one that you couldn't get on day one last gen. I feel like that's been a huge step up as well.
Yeah, I think that the only thing I think is missing, and I don't know why they haven't done it yet, maybe it'll come as an update or something like that. There's no easy way to kind of determine which games are kind of been enhanced. Like, when you're going through your games library and stuff like that, like, because like every single person I work with, apart from me, bought an Xbox this week. And so our Slack channel, which is supposed to be for work, has been just taken up with, Doom Eternal's running nice and all this, and fuck off. And they were all trying to figure out which games and you have to go to Digital Foundry videos and stuff. Whereas it would be nice to see out of your games library, like just a little icon that says like runs better on this. I know it happens on like boxes, physical boxes you can see, but it would be good to just be able to look at your library of games you own and see which will benefit. I'm not sure how easy that would be to implement, but that would be really handy because when you get your PlayStation 5 day one, you're going to import your entire PS4 library. So when you go to your library, especially if you've had a PS4 and even a PS3 since the beginning of the PlayStation Plus lineup, you're going to have like 400 games, and you're just scrolling down like going to be looking and.
They're probably going to be focus testing the exact word to use for the next 6 months, aren't they? They're going to be like, well, people prefer enhanced. They're going to be like just carefully selecting the right graphic to put on it and everything.
Yeah, upgrade. We'll save that for the monetization.
Max.
Just
the word max. Max fun.
That's actually there's some PC hardware people who actually do that to describe upgraded versions like motherboards and shit. They put Max and Ace at the end of it.
Ace.
Put an X on it, innit?
Ace is an MSI one, I think. To say it's like it's now, because there's loads of like new CPUs coming out at the minute.
Yeah.
And especially with AMD, like you can buy an older motherboard to save a bit of money, but it needs a BIOS update. So to show the ones that have the BIOS update pre-installed, they put like Mega Super Max Edition or whatever. And then all it is to say is, you can use this one. That's
it. Yeah, exactly.
Needs to sound more like hacking terminology.
Yeah, totally. But that speaks to another interesting point, isn't it? That the CPUs that both PlayStation and Xbox use, they're both Zen 2 AMD ones, Liam, aren't they? So
they are. So I've basically got the same CPU in my computer right now. It's in a PS5 and Xbox One, Xbox Series X,
which is a great CPU, right? And the AMD CPUs at the minute are clearly the kind of way to go if you're thinking of getting new hardware. But what I'm saying is the next generation of those has just come out as well. So they've just kind of immediately as soon as the new systems come out, there's a
PC
new set of
jumps
CPUs
ahead.
So it's just part of the cycle, and it is the way it always goes, I guess. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting my PlayStation on Thursday. Still kind of praying to God that it actually arrives on day one.
No floods or anything like that. Keep praying to God, and it'll happen. He likes to do
so I believe.
I'm so lucky that the way my work schedule is lined up, I've got 3 days of uninterrupted PlayStation if it does turn up on launch day. So I'm looking forward to that.
It makes me sad that you're saying if it turns up. It's like, yeah, of course, man. Jeff Bezos is going to be personally hand delivering it to you.
I want him to step out with DPD, man, or whatever.
Yeah,
like a fucking Coca-Cola advert.
Yeah, like Secret Billionaire. Yeah. He had you a giant check as well. I think that I've got Thursday, Friday, and then the Monday and Tuesday off because I was supposed to go on holiday, but COVID, so I kept the days off, which is a good time. But the new generation of game consoles meant that loads of games came out this week as well, which is like, remember last week's bumper edition fucking games list that Mike had to slog through for about 45 minutes? There's tons. I played a shitload of them as well. And Liam, you mopped up. Well, you tackled, I think, probably the biggest out of the lot of them is Yakuza 7. Probably in terms of sheer amount of hours you have to put in to get through the campaign. Yeah.
Which I'm not very far into. But I'm liking it a lot so far. It is somehow at the same time, it feels very familiar, but very different at the same time. Like
what's the title, sorry?
So this is Yakuza Like a Dragon. Sort of it's pitched as like sort of a soft reboot, I guess, of the franchise, where it's completely new cast of characters, completely new story. All the legacy characters like Kiryu, Majima, they're forgotten for now. Their story's done until inevitably they'll probably come back in the next game or whatever. It's like a Avengers Assemble type moment. But yeah, so like this one is instead of like a beat 'em up, it's a turn-based JRPG. Which I don't think anyone was expecting them to make. I think they actually thought it was an April Fool's joke at first, because that's when they showed off the first bit of gameplay. Yeah. It was like at the Sega development studio, and it on April Fool's, and they were like play testing it, and it had like turn-based menus, so everyone thought it was just a joke. But nope, turns out it was true. But so like this one is the basic setup is you play as a new guy called Ichiban, and he's like kind of the stark opposite of most of the Yakuza characters, where instead of being like stoic and silent and a big tough guy, he's a bit of a fuck up but a dreamer at the same time. He's well intentioned, and the whole thing is like he goes to prison for 18 years for a crime he didn't commit. That's it. The game starts.
He's a bit of a fuck up. He's well intentioned, and he goes to jail for 18 years.
So, he takes the fall for a crime he didn't commit to like save someone else. But it's like the game starts in 2000, the year 2000, at like the turn of the millennium, and then after chapter 1, he's in prison for 18 years, and then the whole like setup of the game is like he goes to prison because he's like super loyal to his family, like his Yakuza family. He'll do anything for them because they raised him when he was a teenager and stuff. And then he gets out of prison and there's nobody there to greet him. So he goes back home, and he discovers his family clan is no longer in charge of Tokyo. They've been ousted by their rivals, and his patriarch of his family has betrayed the old clan, and he's now, head of the rival family.
I'm in.
You
hooked me in.
It sounds good. It sounds like Carlito's Way.
Raid 2, I feel.
Yeah.
It is.
Tell me more.
Yeah, and so like that's just like this, and then like so he goes on a journey to discover why, like this man he admired and he looked up to, why he betrayed the old family, why he's like betrayed Ichiban as well, because he doesn't want him back and does everything to get rid of him. And then you team up, and that's when the sort of party system sort of comes into play. You team up with a detective who he wants to solve like some conspiracy case, and you're helping him. And then it's just like, and it just slowly introduces like party members to the game. Like Well, that's it. I should say, like, because the game presents itself as a JRPG, the way they explain that in game is that Ichiban is a massive fan of Dragon Quest, and that's how they get away with it. Like, so he imagines everything from his perspective as if it was an RPG. So that's why everything's turn-based. When he's just battering people, that's just him taking his turn with a regular attack.
Yeah.
So that's how they get away with justifying it as an JRPG now. Just saying the main character loves Dragon Quest.
That's so
and so yeah, it was like the gameplay is it's turn-based. All your actions are like mapped to different face buttons on your controller. So you got A is attack on an Xbox controller, B is guard, X is use your items, Y is like your special skills. You even have MP in this game, but they call it mental points. You know, because they try to say it's not magic, but there is a character who is basically a mage, except he's actually a homeless man. More on that later. But so yeah, it's like you just have your standard attack, but there is like real time elements to the combat as well. It's not like strictly you take your turn, that character takes their turn next. It's not strictly like that. So like there's like timed button presses for certain skills. Like if you're using a skill, it'll tell you to mash X and you can get bonus damage, or press Y at the right time for extra damage. Or if an enemy's attacking you, you can press B as soon, like to do a perfect guard, which will reduce the damage they do to you. And it's like there's a job system in it as well. I've not actually unlocked any of the other jobs yet, but the job titles are quite funny. They just change from like, it's like at one point in the story it says like Yakuza loyalist is your job title, and then when you get betrayed and literally thrown in the trash, like your job title changes to deadbeat because you haven't got a job or any money anymore.
Sure.
But then
construction worker.
That probably is a job.
That's what you need to aim towards.
But it's like, so the combat is like, so there's like different, like if you can knock an enemy down, and if they get knocked down, like their turn obviously skips. But if an enemy is knocked down on the floor, if you do a follow-up attack on them, you get bonus damage. You can use weapons like in other Yakuza games, like, you know, pick up a traffic cone off the street and batter someone with it. You can do that, but your character has to be positioned near the item to pick it up, and they just pick it up as part of their regular attack. Positioning is quite important in the combat, except you can't actually control where your character is. They just sort of like move around by themselves, and it makes it kind of difficult to judge, like, you know, so you could like be standing near a bike, and everyone knows in Yakuza you can pick up a bike and use it to smash an entire crowd of enemies. But then, so you might go to attack, but at the last minute your character might just move to the right and completely miss that opportunity, and it's just completely out of your control.
Yeah.
But that pretty much, and there's like status effects and everything. There's like stun, bleeding, like poisoned, you know, standard RPG type stuff. But then that's pretty much all there is to the combat. It's quite easy so far, the combat. Like, I've never had to put much effort or strategy into fighting any enemies so far. The random encounters are like quite frequent, so if you get annoyed easily at running into enemies, it happens a lot in this one. But then the party system is like, you get like a rotating cast of party members, like, and they all have, again, different jobs. Like, the first one you get is with detective, and he's like a bit of a tank sort of brawler, where he's got high HP, high defense, and he can just sort of like tank damage and aggro enemies to take the, I forgot the word, you know what I mean.
Aggro?
Just aggro.
Yeah.
He can take that off you if like you're low on health, but he's got loads of health. The second party member you get, he's the only other one I've had so far, is a homeless guy called Namba, and he is basically a mage, where his attack is, he has like an umbrella, basically his staff, and then his attack is, instead of like, you know, in an RPG you'd throw fireball, he throws seed at people and pigeons attack them. Because
there's more than a whiff of South Park: The Stick of Truth.
Yeah, there really is. There definitely is, and that's it is very similar to Stick of Truth actually, in how it makes fun of RPG mechanics while also embracing them at the same time. But yeah, it's like The new, like, it takes place in a new city as well called Yokohama, which is completely new, and the map is quite big from what I've seen, but I've not been able to explore much of it because it's locked off for like story reasons. And if you stray too far, you'll wander into areas of enemies that are like 10 levels above you, and they'll just instantly wipe you out anyway. And the mini games, they're all there from what I can tell. You can go to the arcade, you can play pachinko if you want, which is weirdly an added download to get around gambling laws in some countries or something. So you have to download that as a separate bit of DLC if you want to play pachinko. There's no real money involved, but just because
Blood and Gore DLC of the Yakuza universe.
Basically, yeah. But pachinko slots. And there's like the Sega arcades there, so you can play like in-game versions of Virtua Fighter and Outrun and stuff like that. I haven't been able to do karaoke yet, sadly, which is my biggest regret of not playing enough of it so far. It has not presented karaoke to me so far. And then I do know there's a big mini game involved where like you run your own businesses, but I've not got that far into the game, so I don't know how. Right. I don't know how well that plans out.
Like the Cabaret Club kind of.
Yeah,
equivalent.
It's like Cabaret Club, except you manage your own business and you have like shareholder meetings, which look like Ace Attorney style things, where you're like shouting at shareholders who are trying to take you out as the head of the company and stuff like that.
Nice. Like, so, you've watched Succession. You know how it goes.
Yeah, you do. But I'm having fun with it. The beginning though is a bit of a slog. Like I'm on chapter 4 of, I want to say 15. I think there's 15 chapters anyway. And I've already played it for like 7-8 hours, and it still feels like it's in that sort of beginning bit of like, like whenever you start an RPG, there's always like that bit at the beginning where it feels like it's constantly getting going and building up to something. Yeah. I'm still in that phase, and quite often it does. If you're not a fan of cutscenes, quite often the game will hit you with just like 10-15 minute long cutscenes where you can just put the controller down and nothing will happen for like 20 minutes apart from just pure dialogue and exposition. And because it's a new character and a new storyline, there is a lot of exposition dumps at the beginning, a lot of setting up who all these characters are, why they're important. Like the pacing of it is not the best so far. There has been some times where I've been just sort of like drifting off a little bit, where characters are just speaking forever, but I am enjoying it. I imagine it'll like open up once I get more party members and I can start doing like party strategy and everything. Cause I imagine bosses will come in that'll need you to actually plan and stuff. But at the minute, you can pretty much just get by like mashing A for attack and using your 1 or 2 skills every so often. But yeah, it's good so far. I don't know. It's still too early to tell if it's gonna be like a replacement for the old style of Yakuza game, which is just like beat 'em up. But it's fun so far, and I'm looking forward to playing more. But yeah, I've still got a long way to go with it.
So we've actually had an email about Yakuza, the Yakuza series anyway. So that was Yakuza Like a Dragon. This email's about Yakuza Kiwami. If you want to send us an email, the address is dearspecialmoves@gmail.com. Send us anything you want, any stories. If you just got a new next-gen console you want to tell us about, what games you've been playing on it, you've been trying some backwards compatibility on it, anything. Tell us what you think. Tell us ask us some questions and tell us your opinions. And if you disagree with things we say, whatever, let us know in the Dear Special Moves inbox. This one is from Tyrone in Houston, Texas. Dear Special Moves, I wanted to write in this time because I was a little taken aback by the lack of a trigger warning for your gaming recommendations. Long story short, I have a list of games that are on my gaming backlog, and it's specifically a list made up of all the recommendations from your podcast.
Wow.
Now, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Now, a while back, Liam mentioned Yakuza Kiwami, and I finally got around to completing the game this past October. Why didn't you warn me that I would be bawling my eyes out by the end? I had a proper tear up. I thought the game was just another GTA clone, not the serious, emotional roller coaster that I play through. You've got to give us a heads up to prepare for that kind of thing, Tyrone.
We need to start having small print like Leo McCovey takes no responsibility for your feelings.
For your tears.
Yeah.
The king is not bothered.
That is something like a lot of people do talk about all the wackiness that Yakuza is known for.
Yeah.
But I do think I do forget like the stories go some like dark places at times, especially like Yakuza 0 goes some pretty dark places at points in the story. And yeah, it does have like a very emotional core to it. It's just you don't want to spoil it because that's part of the love for the Yakuza games is this like intricately woven storyline that's going on for like 10 games in the series or whatever. But yeah, it's like there is always a nice little emotional connection despite all the manliness of ripping shirts off and having shirtless fights on top of skyscrapers while things explode around you.
Is that Metal Gear Solid 2?
That could be most games from Japan, to be honest.
But yeah, like actually, a lot of people I know who love Yakuza, especially people who are tweeting about it, all kind of have this little. And then it hits you, kind of vibe. And then it hits you. 1 minute you're throwing bikes, and the next minute you're catching feelings. I think that's a tweet I saw about a YouTuber.
That's as good of a kind of response that you could hope for, really. If you've been crying your eyes out at the end, that's like job done, isn't it? They obviously want you to be doing that.
So what we're trying to say is, no trigger warnings ever. You're very welcome. Right?
Yeah.
Next, what's next on his list? I want to know.
Yeah, let us know, Tyrone. Send us another email. Follow up. All right, Jake, you've been doing some shooting on the on your games console.
Yeah, loads of shooting. I've been playing Destiny. I've been playing Call of Duty, Black Ops Cold War. Which one do you want to hear about?
Let's do. Shall we do Call of Duty, Black Ops Cold War?
Yep.
Okay. Because right, so both of you played the beta, yeah?
Yep.
And you weren't entirely, because I've been thinking about getting this, but only if you were going to get it. You know what I mean? Or just to play a bit of multiplayer, like.
Yep.
But you were both kind of like this on it, really, weren't you? Or am I wrong?
No, you're totally right. The game didn't instill a lot of faith in me, especially after the frankly, the highest high Call of Duty has had in 10 years.
Undoubtedly.
Modern Warfare was really actually fucking quite good, and Warzone just absolutely tore it up back in March. They timed the release of a free Call of Duty game to the masses with all the bells and whistles during a global pandemic. It was like an absolute masterstroke.
Genius.
The way that the game transformed itself from kind of, tired franchise to like the coolest thing ever again was remarkable. And then this game had like a beta. I think it was like a PlayStation exclusive beta first, and then there was like another one. No, that was the alpha. Sorry, silly me. And then there was a closed beta, and then there was an open beta.
Yeah, I was going to say all of that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it was very, it felt. Well, this is the thing that we mentioned it a couple of podcasts ago, but just in case, people have just joined the podcast. I know that we've had like a lot of people joining us in the last 3 or 4 podcasts, I guess, because of what we've been talking about. So basically, the issue that I think is so noticeable is that like Warzone is still a thing, and it's a different engine, it feels like, and then you go to play this alpha or beta, and it just felt really stripped back, and like the graphics sucked, and you couldn't lean over cover, and the guns were really weird and not responsive, and it just didn't leave a very good.
Almost exactly what you would worry about when you've had Modern Warfare. You think, fuck, this is a breath of fresh air. It's great, different pace to it. It works really well. I really hope they don't take a step back or 3. That's kind of what it kind of looked like that's how it was shaping up.
So I'm ready for the PlayStation 5. I bought Call of Duty Cold War, Black Ops fucking 1, but not 1, it's a reboot, or is it? And I wanted to play the campaign. And I know that there's a co-op mode as well. So I'm like, okay, let's I like co-op, and I like the campaign of Modern Warfare was really good. And the graphics looked really flipping good on the PS5 version of Black Ops that you saw in that thing over the summer. So I was like, okay, maybe it's going to be different. And it is. It's well different. So the story is, it's actually so bad, it's good in a way. It's so... Starts off with some, like, I don't know, fucking Led Zeppelin shit over, like, footage of, like, nukes and Fidel Castro and all this shit, or whatever the fuck it is. And then it's like, there's some guy, he's, like, really friendly, but he's got loads of scars all over his face, and he's talking to you. You start off, by the way, you're in a bar, the prologue it's seen is you at a bar, and then you go into a back alley of this crowded street and pull out a fucking gun.
Yeah.
Then you go into this house, and there's a bunch of Russians playing cards in front of their French patio doors. So you blast the fuck out of them with your MP5, yeah? Take some hostages, stab people in the neck, boom, shoot someone in the face. And then you kill these two arms dealers, basically, is how it starts. And then, this is the thing that's like, I need to set it up, guys. I need to set it up. I'm not laughing at it. I am a bit, but it is funny. But, you know, you're like, I was just sitting there. It was this morning, actually, right? I'm drinking kombucha with Mr. Tumblon in the background. Couldn't have been any worse fit for this game. They probably would. You know what I mean? I feel like if there was bouncers at the door, they would have turned me away. They would have been like,
yeah, no kombucha.
Yeah. So right, I get there. All right, I'm watching this thing, and it's like, right, there's a guy. His name is Perseus. He's Russian, and he's the biggest threat to the free world. What? The biggest threat to the free world? The biggest threat to the free world. Then someone says, yeah, the only thing about Perseus is he's a myth. That's the only thing we know about him. He's not real. He's just a Russian bogeyman. And then everyone stops. Oh, and then someone goes, why don't you ask Adler if Perseus is real? Adler's the guy with the scars on his face. Why has he got scars on his face? Ooh. And then Adler's like, maybe we don't need to care about Perseus, but one thing I can tell you is he's real. Then the room falls silent, and in pops an absolutely true-to-life looking Ronald Reagan. He sounds exactly like Ronald Reagan. And he comes in, and he's like, Adler, Harrison, Weber, whatever all their names are. In it. There's just shit like that in it, you know, Mason and whatever. And then it's like, you know, you've got my Perseus is the biggest threat to the free world. Yes, Mr. President. Adler, you can do any clandestine operation you want. Go get them on the president's orders or whatever. And it's just, but honestly, it's the most, you know, when you're playing Call of Duty, ironically.
Yeah.
You're only playing Call of Duty, and American kids hear a British accent, and they think that you love the Queen.
Yeah.
It feels like the game is that, but with the president. It's like, you want to do a good job for the president, good boy. You want to make the president proud, don't you? This is Ronald Reagan. He was a very popular president. The president said you're a good boy. Now go and stop the Russians, because the president loves the free world. It was just really weird. It was like really like patriotic. And I'm not really, you know, and I know the Americans president have got a bit of a weird relationship at the moment, but this just felt a little bit like, what? And then it has this like little hub area, and you've got like an evidence board, and in the middle you've got this really handsome Russian spy called Perseus, who I don't know why everybody in, I said it in the last Call of Duty, everyone looks like a heartthrob. This guy is like this Russian bad boy called Perseus, and you have to find him. And then it's like, the first mission you do is a flashback to like Vietnam, and you know, you're in a chopper, you're with your buddies, and there's some like alt rock playing, and then what happens, guys?
RPG?
An RPG from the rooftop.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You see an I wonder what the first game to ever do that was. You're in a helicopter, and you look out and you see a friendly AI-controlled chopper get hit by an RPG from an ethnicity on the rooftop.
It's an image as old as time, isn't it? It's probably in...
Absolutely. But
you know,
the way in your head, the way you hear someone shout, RPG, is what happens.
Yeah.
But so you do this flashback mission, because you see Adler, and he's not scar-riddled. You know? There's a lot of scars on his face, guys.
Yeah.
I can't pass it.
Sure.
Then after that, this is where the game gets a little bit different, right? By the way, so the prologue mission, you shoot someone up in the street, and then you're in an airfield. It's the thing that you saw with the PS5 thing, with the little remote control car that blows up a whole plane. And then this Vietnam mission or whatever, you and some guy taking on the whole world. And then you ride around in a helicopter, and it's proper like, battlefield helicopter, third-person helicopter pilot. You take down a Heim D, yeah. Another Metal Gear Solid reference there for the heads listening. You take one of them down, and then you're in there's this giant like hill, and you're going around it, and it's like an ant's nest. All these like little truck things are popping out of these little holes, and you're shooting them like whack-a-mole kind of thing, but just on a really high budget. But then after that, you get to kind of pick your next mission, and there's like side missions. And you know what? It reminds me a bit of Hitman, because you've got these briefings, and you can do it to get the lore unlocked. And like in Call of Duty, for some reason, like you can always find these secret like files in the games called evidence.
Yeah.
Well, they now have a purpose, because they go into your evidence board and they unlock things for your side quests. So you play as, well, yourself. Your code name is Bell, which is like a bit of a insulting term where we come from, isn't it? But,
you fucking you Bell.
You put your name in it, so I put my name in, obviously Jake Kulkowski, and then it comes up saying Jake Bell Kulkowski, and I'm like, all right. So
that's hilarious.
I've got you in like little RPG. You pick if you're male, female, or non-binary. You pick your body type. You pick your name, and then you pick your psychological discrepancies. Like, none of them are like good traits. They're just like, so you basically pick perks for your character for your whole playthrough. So this one bit determines what you do. So I picked paranoid, which means that you aim down sights 100% faster. And it gives you a little sub story, you're always looking over your shoulder. You don't trust anyone.
Meanwhile, you're fucking John Wick. You're like...
You're haunted by the ghost of your past. Yeah. Another one is aggressive behavior, which is what I had as well. So I was paranoid with aggressive behavior. What a great trait for a super soldier. So I aim down sights faster, and I reload 50% faster. But you can pick different ones. You could pick ones with 25% damage boost. You can pick one where you get ammo back quicker. You get one where your magazines have got 50% extra capacity, but you can only pick two. But everything seems really overpowered.
How have they backstoried a 25% damage boost?
What was
You're
it?
fucking Tony Stark. You've invented a new kind of bullet.
You're always packing more than you need.
One of them's called reliable, and it means that you don't take as much damage when you're standing still, because you're sturdy and you hold your ground. And that's what the psychological analysis has told you. So you make this sort of damaged heartthrob character who's called Bell. So that way that you can just call you Bell all the way through. Even though it keeps saying Jake Kulkowski and then scribbling out my name, Bell. Like, Bell. Every time it feels like an attack. It feels like someone's graffitiing over me. And you play as him. Apart from these side quest missions, which are completely optional, you play as Mason, who is from the Black Ops games. Or at least the first one, but I think this is like a new Mason, like a rebooted Mason kind of thing, where I don't know if it's really related to the story. From what I remember, it was a bit different, because wasn't he being brainwashed or whatever? But anyway, so the missions are pretty cool. It's all a bit of like, there's an arms dealer. You need to get the arms dealer, but we can't get to the arms dealer. We need to get his people. In East Berlin, one of his people is there, and he's got an FOB-14. And he's the biggest threat to the free world, by the way. Have we mentioned that enough? It's full of loads of that. And
you said earlier that you can play. Someone might play Call of Duty ironically. Well, they're actually developing it ironically now, aren't they? I mean, it's the RPG thing, the former KGB, the Fidel Castro in the first 2 minutes. Having a drink in a bar and an MP5 and the fuck out of everyone in his
shot, saying, "I'm proud of you, Adler."
They're having a laugh, aren't they? It's basically like the Daily Star newspaper in Britain. Everyone from the outside thinks it's shit.
Yeah.
But the journalists are going, this is the most fun I've ever had in my life, because they're just writing bollocks. They're just, Well,
it's like the Fast and Furious, this one. I played this Call of Duty fucking World War II from 4 years ago. Shit, hated it. I think it was the wrong type of melodrama. I was in this sort of homosexual relationship with a soldier, but we were both in denial all the way through. Maybe it was unrequited.
What was this? Which one was this, sorry?
World War II, where one of them's like got daddy issues and he just wants to fucking impress his hard-ass fucking sergeant or whatever the fuck it is. And then your mate keeps touching you up. It's just, the whole thing was just really weird, and I just didn't like it. I thought it was just trying to be too camaraderie focused, but it just was shit, and it just made me go, this is shit. But then Modern Warfare was like quite funny, like in how brutal it was. It wasn't supposed to be funny. You're shooting people and they going, I've got kids, and I'm sitting there next to my real kids going
yeah,
you know, like a great parent I am. And then there's bits where you're stabbing fucking, you know, you're a child soldier and shit. To me, that's funny because it's just so disconnected from this, like, other Call of Duty Band of Brothers knockoff shit. But this one is fully like the Avengers. You know, you've assembled a team. Ronald Reagan's fucking fluffed your hair up. And you're going back in time and you're doing flashback missions. But you know what, it's actually... The shooting's great on it. It's like the Modern Warfare campaign. It's really sick and smooth. Like, it doesn't feel like anything's been stripped back like the beta did. And then this morning, I hopped into the multiplayer. I played 2 games. I played the team deathmatch and I played the free-for-all. And it was really satisfying.
Yeah? Yeah. I get it. You know, like I was saying, you know, before, it's completely dependent on what you guys are up to. And if you get it, obviously, you know, I'll play it I'll get it for the multiplayer. And I would play through the single player because it's like 4 or 5 hours or whatever, isn't it? Who cares? Like, and it's so good to just pick up and play Call of Duty, you know, in bursts, I find. And, you know.
What I did was I installed everything. I thought I'll do it just so, because it's so good to play Call of Duty in bursts. And it's like when we were playing it, we were, you know, we had it open and we were like, do you want to play Warzone or Team Deathmatch, or do you want to play the 3 versus 3 gunfight mode or whatever? So I've got it all installed because, like, you know, if we do play, we could do the zombies or we can do the Warzone, which your classes from Black Ops carry over into Warzone now, even though Warzone is a separate thing. But yeah, it's, and another thing I just wanted to say clearly, because a lot of people I know say this, people think Call of Duty is good when they're winning, and people think Call of Duty is not good when they're not winning. So I want you to know I didn't win either of the games I played this morning. So I'm not saying that it was great and smooth and satisfactory experience because I was winning. I'm not like that. I'm not like, but it felt good. Like everything felt really smooth. And what it was, like the time to kill felt right. Like I was using MP5. Every bullet felt like it was doing the right amount of damage. It's really hard to explain this sort of shit because this is a sort of thing, I think you feel it more than you understand it. But sometimes when you're playing a game, especially when you're going from different franchises, Battlefront to Battlefield to Call of Duty, you're shooting someone with an MP5, you feel like you're peppering them for 9 hours before they die. And other games, it's like instant. And I remember when Modern Warfare had the beta, they had that really off, and then they changed it. It was like fan feedback was an avalanche of like dissatisfaction, and then they changed it. Whereas this, I don't remember reading anything like that, but I felt like every gun, before I'd even shot it, I knew just how many shots I needed to kill somebody, because it was like an assault rifle, 3 shots and they'll be dead probably. MP5 just dead. Everything just felt like exactly as it should be, and it's really hard to explain that when I don't know anything about guns, but it just felt like it made sense.
I know what you mean. Okay, so that was that's Call of Duty Black Ops Like a Dragon, I believe. So let's do another email. This one is about Watch Dogs Legion. It's from Casino Mike, now better known as Funeral Mike.
Funeral Mike.
Epic email
Mike.
So Mike says this: Hey gamers, it's been a while since I last wrote, and in that time, I've made the age-old mistake of buying into the hype. I've been having a tough time at work recently, and to help me de-stress, I stupidly impulse bought Watch Dogs Legion. I think I know where this email's going. After enjoying it for the first couple of days, the veneer quickly faded, and I found myself agreeing with what Liam's said in the previous podcast, that while it's a perfectly competent game, there's nothing particularly special about it, and I should have waited for a deep sale. I'd been watching some YouTube videos of people playing it, and I got sucked into the hype, as I often do, and I decided that I needed to buy myself a copy that very day. Annoyingly, the national lockdown has just started in England, so I wasn't able to go to CEX or Game for a copy, so I resorted to doing something I never do. I bought it digitally on the PSN store for £60. That's £10 more than a physical copy, and all you get are some extra ugly cosmetics that I never use. like I said, the game is fine, but definitely something I'll never touch again once I'm done with it. So it's even more annoying that I don't even have a copy to trade in and get some money back. I feel like a proper mug. Speaking of which, when are we going to be able to get those special moves mugs? I'd buy one in a heartbeat. I don't know if proper mug was like a Watch Dogs Legion bit of comedy there, but there we go. What do you guys do when you feel the hype pulling you towards a purchase that you know you should probably wait for? Any tips would be appreciated. Love the show as always. Keep up the good work. All the best. Casino Mike / Funeral Mike.
Nice one, man.
That's a good question.
I used to be real bad for falling into the hype of things.
Yeah.
Like whenever friends would like get really excited about a game, and then I would just get caught up in the excitement as well, and then I'd end up buying a game, and then we never even played. Like, it was usually multiplayer games or co-op games, like, and we never ended up playing them together. And then I was like deeply, deeply regretful of that purchase. But I think ever since like, I don't know, since I became a proper adult, I guess, and I have to budget my money, I became a lot better about like not falling into hype and stuff. Like, with Ubisoft games especially, like Assassin's Creed is a big one where like I remember when everyone was going insane over Origins when it came out, and then I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna hold off and wait, and then a couple months later I managed to get it for like £18 instead of 45 or whatever it was, and I didn't end up enjoying the game all that much, but for £18 I was like, that was fine. So it's self-control, I guess. Or like, and if you have trouble with like people hyping shit up, like especially if you watch a lot of YouTube and Twitch, where you get caught up in the fear of missing out because everyone's like forming around this one game at whatever time. Just like try and watch less of it, I guess. Or I don't know.
Block your mates.
Block them, just block them.
WhatsApp group, yeah.
Just
I think that as I've gotten older, that I just maybe know myself a bit more, and I just am readier to go. I don't care if I'm going to miss out on that. Because I don't. Yeah.
Oh right.
Yeah. No, I am, because I just kind of. Yeah. There's loads of things where I'm like.
Funny about it. I've never.
I see. Yeah. So there's a lot of things where I'm happy to, I'm extremely impulsive. So sometimes I will just go, I'm going to buy that right now. Yeah. But it works the other way as well, where, all right, I'm going to admit something big here, right? I'm going to admit something big. All right. I have thought, do I really want a PlayStation 5 on day one? Though, right? Even though I've been really looking forward to it for ages.
Yeah.
I have sort of thought, I'm at the moment, I'm just really enjoying playing my PC and playing Total War, and I'm kind of thinking, would could I put that money towards upgrading my PC? It doesn't matter. I am going to get my PS5. I've decided, but I think so. Maybe as you do get older, you do kind of get a bit more like self-assured about what you just know what you're into a bit better, and that's probably also a negative, because maybe you'll be slightly less likely then to like discover new things and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
So you need to be more. You need to be convinced more about exploring.
Yeah,
but
I think it's.
Go on.
It's just going to say it's like particularly tricky when there's games or IPs or whatever that have had either great, like hugely successful, enjoyable games in the series before, and then lost it and then come back. Yeah. So, like Watch Dogs, I was never really a huge fan of the series. I thought Watch Dogs 1 was good. Like Watch Dogs Legion, turned it off. Valhalla was bad for me because I had Valhalla a week before it came out. So in last week's podcast, I couldn't, because we recorded it a week and a half ago.
Yeah,
I couldn't talk about it. I was playing it, and I must have put about 20 hours in or something like that, right? Over like between then and now. But I put about 5, 6, 7 hours in before the embargo dropped. When the embargo dropped, I'm reading all these people saying like, I remember a specific one. I've only at the tip of the iceberg for Valhalla, and I've had absolutely no quests where you have to follow somebody, and if they spot you, it cancels. And it's like the third mission in the game is exactly that. There's somebody sneaks into your Viking camp and you fall. It's out. Oh my god! Like it's the most I've ever felt like fucking burdened by knowledge. I was like, I wanted to honestly just tweet saying Assassin's Creed is shit. Like it, but it's I can't say it's shit because it's actually, if you like Assassin's Creed, it's probably really good. But it's like a really watered down version of The Witcher 3. It sounds so fucking brutal. And there's going to be people listening that really disagree with me. I'm sorry, I don't. I'm not saying that it's like fucking a bad game. It's just not as new and fresh as everyone's making it out at all. The quests are still quite shit. I think the story is quite shit. And what I'm trying to tell you is I knew that, right? Before everybody. So when you got that knowledge and you're seeing all these reviews coming out, it's something that's, unless you're in a position like ours, you don't ever feel this side of it. You're like, what? How can they say that? And some of it is like, not even an opinion. Like, when you're saying there is no quest like this in the first couple of hours of the game, and there is, that's not an opinion, is it? That's a fact. So I'm reading all these reviews saying this shit, and I'm like, people are going to buy this, reading this, and thinking they're going to get something different, and they're not. And so I think
it's less of a problem than perhaps it once was. Where I can really remember, previews being bad with no self-awareness of how kind of advertising the previews sounded. So journalists get their hands on it. So I said journalists there, not streamers and influencers. So I am talking like at least 5-10 years ago. But IGN would have things that said, here's 10 reasons why you need to buy this game. It's like, well, you haven't played the whole fucking game yet. You've had the preview build, and you're saying this like 3 months before it comes out. So it's basically a piece of advertising. So, but especially like British sites, I think are really good at least being cautious in the way they write stuff and now, and because you have to balance out there's so much like excitement around streaming and YouTube, and they're just kind of it's like a natural love of the game. So so that on the preview side, I do think it has actually generally improved in terms of writing an opinion about a game that you haven't played all the way through. But you're totally right. There are reviews that are like, there's one for like Miles Morales, the IGN review. Sorry, I've said IGN twice. It's just a coincidence. But the reviewer for that said something like, he was aching to go back to New York because that's where he used to live, and he loved living in New York. And Spider-Man Miles Morales made him realize how much he loved New York. I'm like, what? I don't care about that. But it also makes me like, I can't relate to that at all.
No,
I live in the furthest. I live in Bangor in North Wales, which is completely different to New York.
Yeah.
I have no emotional tie to New York, and
that's what I hate. Yeah, it's like the Vice school of journalism that way. It's like actually just a fucking self-indulgent anecdote. I always remember. I'll never forget because it's such a fucking meme. It's not actually a meme. You know what I'm going to say next to you? Polygon's Destiny 2 review with this actual fucking pathetic essay about how this guy had loads of fun playing games with his mates, and then at the end he went, and guys,
none of that happened.
Playing with my mates. That's none of that actually happened. The real friends were the genuine. And honestly, what the fuck was that? It was like some creative writing stunt. I don't care. I don't give a fuck about. So I guess it's kind of that's like the extreme of it is that like you read that, so then you go to YouTube to watch reviews, and that's why I guess content creators have risen up, because people don't want to read some of that sort of stuff. But then you've got this visual element then. You're watching the game getting played, and you're watching an edited version of the game, which is cutting out all the mundane bullshit. The Assassin's Creed reviews are a cool sizzle reel of the good stuff that you do in Assassin's Creed that's padded out with 5, 6, 7 hours of just, A good example of this, that nearly got me, because by the way, I bought COD because of the hype. Yeah, and by bought I mean I accepted a key for free, but I wouldn't have even installed 130 gig of it if I wasn't bothered about it, or accepted the key, because it could have gone to somebody else, right? Because it was somebody I knew that got 2, so it wasn't from the publisher, right? So, and so I thought, But Godfall came out on Thursday, I think. And on Wednesday night, I was talking to Kale, and he's like huge into these ARPGs and all this loot shit. And loads of people I know are big into ARPGs and loot stuff. And everyone's like, oh, you like Destiny, huh? Da-da-da-da. So Godfall, I was hovering over it. Oh, nearly got it. You know, I didn't. And then I saw Kale streamed it. You know, Godfall, I was looking at it and I was going, looks good. Anyway, next day now on Twitter, I go on my timeline. All the streamers that were playing it last night heavily are like, jumping back into Godfall today, end game content. And I'm like, you got to the end game in one day of Godfall?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that? And then that was on Thursday. We're on Sunday now, and I know people are like, I'm done with this. I've done everything in it.
Yeah.
What? So I'm glad I didn't drop fucking whatever it was, 55 quid on that.
Exactly. So I mean, we've talked a lot, talked a bit about, journalism and stuff there. But as I was saying earlier, it's there's so much more to it now than that. Hype is kind of just a balloon of different, streamers, different thing to YouTube personalities, which is a different thing to games journalists. Yeah. Which is, and there's even the influence of marketing in it now is like insane. Like if you look at how PlayStation has decided to kind of market just the PlayStation 5, they've had fucking Michael B. Jordan just playing a PlayStation. You can't even see what he's fucking playing, but he's just sitting on the sofa going, I used to play games. I love playing games. Oh man, I'm a big fan of the PlayStation. But then it's just but that video, if you're on Twitter, just keeps on fucking getting hammered on Twitter, so you can see that video all the time, just coming up on
Isn't Travis Scott the PS5 ambassador or something?
Yeah, Travis Scott as well. This is it. This is what happens when COVID has taken that budget and they've gone, we'll give it to the influencer guys.
Absolutely, yeah. The events budget is just gone, so they can use that on other things.
My day job is working with influencers on the PR front. Like, I say, do you want this game? And they say yes, or they say no. And the amount of people that have like gone, Jake, you know what you're doing all that, talking to those people? If we give you like £25,000, can you? And it's like I've been nearly pulled into the orbit of influence so many times this year by people who've just got thousands of pounds to spend on these budgets and for like stupid things. And it's like, so when I saw that the PlayStation 5's given away to like nearly every streamer I know who's partnered in the UK, I was like, fucking hell, they're doing it. And I'm not necessarily sure how well it's working, because I think still like on the like average person front, you don't really, or do you? I don't know. Do you really want to watch somebody play Demon's Souls a week before you can play it? Or
I don't. No, I don't, man. I don't. No. I think there's like carefully, giving it to like I was saying to you at the camera. I think I was talking before we started recording, but watching like a couple of arty videos about
Demon's Souls.
Demon's Souls is good because it's not like he's completely focused on Soulsborne stuff, isn't he? And he really knows it, and you get something like, so that kind of influencing, I'm open to that, and it's not just like, it's not just that, what do you call them, like a variety streamer, I think you say,
variety streamers, exactly.
Just people who do like different shit, and they're just playing it just, because they got good numbers and whatever, you got to be smart about who you kind of go to, and then that, as a viewer, you kind of trust the information you're getting. And I've talked a lot about we've kind of mentioned Digital Foundry a lot over the last kind of month or so, and because I love the way that they kind of just break things down and look at hardware and performance in a really kind of, they've got a good niche, haven't they? Like they know what their niche is, which is performance and visuals and stuff. So would I go to them to get what their opinion was on the story of games, or how storytelling is done in games? No, but I do care about how games look and how they perform, so they tell me about that. So in a way it's really good and healthy at the moment, but it's also so difficult to, if you're like budget conscious, it's so difficult to stay out of the hype fucking thing, because there's so many fucking voices giving so many different niche specific types of information. I
mean, but ultimately, Mike, not you, but funeral Mike, hype beast Mike, the third act. Liam did warn you, and you ignored him. And
yeah. So
we did tell you. Yeah. So you come crying to us now. Yeah, £60 down. Shut the fuck and listen to Liam. Yeah.
Don't trust anyone else in it. Special moves only.
We are the truth.
We're the only fucking influencers, alright? Like fun little side note to that: our YouTube subscribers are actually going down. So
yeah. The culling of the phony.
Okay, we've been talking for a very long time now. We've got a lot of new releases to do. Do you guys? Is there anything else you want to mention? Or we are doing a bonus podcast. This week,
I'll just say quickly that I will talk about it on the bonus podcast. But so I'm just going to tell you what I'm going to say in the bonus podcast. I want to talk a bit about Destiny 2 because I jumped back into that this week because there's been a huge overhaul. What would probably be called Destiny 3 if Activision had anything to do with it, I'm pretty sure. And so I'll talk a bit more about that in the Patreon podcast, I think, just because, I've got quite a lot to say on it. So
yeah, I can't wait for Destiny 2 on next gen, and I'm definitely going to get the expansion, the Beyond Light expansion. I've been waiting for so long for the Cosmodrome Old Russia thing in Destiny to come back. I just loved it, so I can't wait to get in on that. So we'll talk about that in the bonus podcast. If you're a patron, if you support us on Patreon, we do a bonus podcast every couple of weeks, and we're going to be recording one just for you guys in a bit after we've had a cup of tea and gone through these new games. So it's another busy week, as you'd probably expect, for new releases. Obviously, the big one is that PlayStation 5 is coming out on the 19th in the UK and Europe. And I don't know if there's anywhere else that hasn't had it yet, or is it just Europe and the UK that's missed out and we're waiting?
I think I've heard like Malaysia and Indonesia aren't getting it until like December 19th or something.
Oh God!
But
okay,
that's all I know. It's like later.
So the PS5 launches on the 19th, which is the big one, and then for games on the 17th of November, which is the Tuesday, we're getting Halo: The Master Chief Collection on Xbox Series X, which is quite cool. I've downloaded this a couple of times on my Xbox One, but I've never fired it up, so I don't actually know. Is it even complete? Are all the games on there?
Yeah, they are now.
To play? Right.
Not on the PC. The PC version, they're still porting them over. But
right.
Yeah, it's like it famously launched in a bit of a state. Like, it came out in like 2014, I think, and it was very broken when it came out. But to Microsoft's credit, they've been steadily updating it, refining it, fixing bugs over the years. They updated it for Xbox One X when that came out to make it run at like 4K.
Cool. So
yeah, it's a package that keeps evolving, and it'll just get even better, I guess, on Series X. 4K, 120 FPS, I guess. It'll be good.
It's kind of an allegory for the Xbox One itself, isn't it? And Microsoft's whole thing for the whole generation, so that's cool. Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate is out on PC, Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. Still haven't done... I do like Mortal Kombat. I still haven't touched Mortal Kombat 11. Don't know anything about it. Apart from it's just another Mortal Kombat game. But if anyone has got any more to tell me about that, please send us an email at dearspecialmoves@gmail.com. Serious Sam Collection is out on Nintendo Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. Sniper Elite 4 is out on Nintendo Switch.
I played that, and it was good. On PlayStation, not on the Switch. And it was the first Sniper Elite I ever played. And it felt like a really good starting point. So if anyone was thinking of getting it, and the only reason they're not going to get it is because they think, well, what about the other three? Then it didn't stop me.
I played Sniper Elite 1 and 2 on PC, and I really liked them.
Back in the day, like when they were new, sort of thing.
They weren't new, but Sniper Elite 3 and 4 didn't exist when I played them. And they were, there was like Steam sale type of thing. And they were ace, they were really good. And then I played Sniper Elite 4 on the PS4 earlier this year, and I don't know. I just didn't get on with that very well. And then PlayStation 5 Day is quite busy. I mean, for other stuff as well. Bridge Constructor: The Walking Dead is out on Android, iOS, PC, Mac, Linux, Nintendo Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. I've never played any of these Bridge Constructor games. Have you?
Nope. But they're like massive, and they have some stupid fucking IP. Walking Dead, and they had Portal, and there was another IP, I can't remember what it was. But like, yeah, they must be pretty good if they managed to pull off that sort of shit. Like, maybe we should check them out.
Yeah, I mean, it looks cool. I quite like the simplicity of it, I suppose, and I could obviously see it working really well as a mobile game or whatever. So it does look appealing for that reason. Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate is out on Stadia on that day, and then an indie game which looks really cool called Star Renegades is coming to Nintendo Switch and Xbox One.
I've heard of this.
Yeah,
published by Raw Fury. It looks ace. Yeah, it looks really cool.
Shouts out Raw Fury. They just make bangers after bangers.
Yeah, I mean they published it. They didn't make this one, but this was. I was having a look at this earlier this morning.
Wow, art style is really nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Strategy.
Yeah, it's a bit of a fucking Wargroove meets Into the Breach looking battle system, but then the map, like hang on a minute, a roguelike strategy RPG with turn-based combat. It's like the three of us have made this game. Strategy, roguelike, turn-based RPG. It looks really cool. So it's been out on PC for a while then, since only the 8th of September 2020.
So it's not new, but it is new on Switch. So it looks like a perfect Switch game. The only thing probably stopping me from getting that is the aforementioned PS5. But yeah, I'm definitely going to pick that up at some point. And then on Friday, the 20th of November, is another game that I really want to get this, but again, I'm going to probably wait. Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity is out on Nintendo Switch. Liam, did you play the thing as well, Liam? I can't remember.
I finished the entire demo. I did everything it would let me do.
That's it.
Sounded good when you guys spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, sounds good.
It's a good game. Great visual kind of style to it. I liked the earlier Hyrule Warriors game on the Switch. Just works really well as a Switch game. Just the button mashing and stuff on the go I found was really fun.
Some of the worst hand cramps I've ever had. Playing Hyrule Warriors on the Switch in portable mode. My God, that gives you carpal tunnel big time.
Because Nintendo is such a fan of like a re-release support, a fucking mirror mode version, or whatever the fuck they're doing. I thought this was like the game Hyrule Warriors, but like a special edition, because it's not got that 2 in there. So like, I just wanted to say that again. I said it like last time, but just in case anyone's like, it's a sequel.
It's a sequel
to the game.
Yeah,
it looks totally different. They've matched it really, really well to the Breath of the Wild kind of, just the general aesthetic of that game. And obviously it's set in that world. And the same day, Katamari Damacy Reroll is out on PS4 and Xbox One, which I feel like I say every kind of few weeks. But
yeah.
I think it's on everything now.
Yeah.
Next gen next week. Yeah.
Give it time. Okay, so that was the 106th Special Moves podcast. We're going to do a bonus podcast for the patrons, as we just said. If you're not a patron supporter, join us on Patreon, and you can get access to, a shitload of bonus podcasts. Some of them are about films and TV and stuff, and others are about games. We're probably going to have a lot of games coming up in this one because, it's so busy and there's a lot that we didn't talk about. So look out for that if you're a patron supporter. Otherwise, we'll see you again next week when we've all got PlayStation 5s. Peace.
See you then.